Welcome to Bangla City SATV News. This is Noor Alamin with the headlines. India and Bangladesh commemorate Maitree Divas today. Two countries should focus on contact trade and connectivity, said Prime Minister. Myanmar's junta jailed ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi today for 4 years for incitement against the military and breaching COVID rules. Rain triggered by a weakened cyclone washed out the third day of second test match between Bangladesh and Pakistan in Dhaka today. India and Bangladesh commemorate Maitree Divas today. The day marks 50 years since India became the first country to recognize the birth of a brand new nation in its eastern border. On December 6, India decided to formally acknowledge the new country. This day will be commemorated by the two nations each year as Maitree Divas or the Friendship Day, monitoring that the Bangladesh-India relationships is anchored in history and culture. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said that two countries now should concentrate on people-to-people contact, trade, business and connectivity, as well as the issue became increasingly important for the two sides. Narendra Modi has said he will work with his Bangladesh counterpart Sheikh Hasina to further expand and deepen ties between the two countries. Indian Council of World Affairs arranged the program in New Delhi today on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the India-Bangladesh diplomatic relations. Ganatantra Mukti Divas is being observed in country today, marking the fall of then autocratic ruler in 1990. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina greeted the countrymen, describing them as sentinel of democracy, and said the 6th December is a significant day in the history of restoring democracy. Prime Minister said she is very much grateful to the people for their spontaneous sacrifice and respect to all martyrs who sacrificed their lives to protest the democratic rights of the people. Former Prime Minister and BNP Chairperson Begum Khaleda Zia's passport renewal application has been rejected. She made the request May 6 this year. Home Ministry and Passport Department said Khaleda Zia has no chance to get her passport as per the law, as she has been convicted. Yesterday, Law Minister Anisul Haq said Khaleda Zia's application for medical treatment abroad had been legally withdrawn twice before. In this situation, even if she gets permission to go abroad, she has to apply for a new passport. Meanwhile, injections have been applied for to stop the internal bleeding in Khaleda's body. She has not bled in the last few days, but doctors say it is just a temporary. Bleeding may occur at any time. More rains expected to occur at places over Khulna, Barishal, Dhaka and Chattogram divisions during the next 24 hours from today morning, as the depression in the Bay of Bengal weakened to a well-marked low. The Meteorological Office said there is a possibility of moderate to heavy rainfall over the next 24 hours period. All the maritime ports of the country have been advised to keep hoisting the local cautionary signal number 3. All fishing boats and trawlers over the North Bay and Deep Sea have been advised to take shelter till further notice, it added. Meanwhile, Cyclone Jawad weakened to a low pressure before reaching the coast. The depression could cross the Odisha coast of India at midnight today. Viewers, we are taking a short break. Stay with Bangla City SATV News. Welcome back, and you are watching Bangla City SATV News. A Myanmar court jailed ousted civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi for 4 years for inciting the dissent against the military and breaching COVID rules today. Junta spokesman said Suu Kyi was sentenced to the 2 years imprisonment under the Section 505B and 2 years imprisonment under the Natural Disaster Law. The former president, Win Myint, was also jailed for 4 years on the same charges. They would not yet be taken to prison, he also added. 76 years of age, Aung San Suu Kyi has been detained since the generals ousted her government in the early hours of the February 1st, ending the Myanmar's brief democratic interlude. The junta has since added a slew to other encirclement, including the violating the Official Secret Act, the corruption and the electoral fraud. The Nobel laureate faces the decades in jail if convicted on all counts. Meanwhile, Myanmar security forces in a car rammed into the anti-coup protest, killing the 5 people and leaving dozens other injured. Photos and videos circulating on the social media show a vehicle crashing through the protesters, with witnesses saying the car increased speed as it got the closure for the protesters. Sources said that a handful of people, some who were carrying banners in support of ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi, were hit as soldiers then jumped out of the car and began shooting as protesters began fleeing. Sunday's protest was one of the at least 3 being held in the Yangon. The Punjab police today announced the arrest of 7 more of the prime suspects allegedly involved in the lynching of the 49-year-old Sri Lankan factory manager Priyantha Kumara in Shalkot over the blasphemy allegations. It takes the total number of arrests of 131. The police added that out of the 131 people arrested, 26 played in a central role in a brutal killing. The Friday's incident caused the outrage across the Pakistan, with all sections of society coming forward to condemn the indictment of the calls for the suspect to be punished. Prime Minister Imran Khan said he had spoken to the Sri Lankan Prime Minister and assured him of due to the legal action. As concerns rise over the rapid spread of the Omicron variant of COVID-19, the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control (ECDC) says 182 cases have been identified across the European Union plus Norway and Iceland. As of Sunday, it also added the new variant has been reported in 17 of the countries it serves. The ECDC explained the majority of the cases are in people that have a history of traveling to Africa, but noted there is evidence in several European countries, Germany and Spain, which shows the undetected community transmission could be ongoing there. Meantime, Israel says it is mulling the possibility of authorizing a 4th COVID-19 booster shot to those with a weak immune systems. Brazil is also accelerating its rollout of booster shots in an attempt to contain the spread of the new strain. 6 cases of Omicron have been reported in Brazil, with all of them having recently returned from Africa. Omicron variant of the coronavirus has spread to about 1/3 of U.S. states, said U.S. health officials on Sunday. Russian President Vladimir Putin will arrive on India on Monday for his 2nd overseas trip since the pandemic, seeking to bolster military and energy ties with a traditionally ally being courted by the United States. In its effort to address a rising China, Washington has set up a Quad security dialogue with India, Japan and Australia, raising concern in Beijing and Moscow. India will so close to the Soviet Union during the Cold War in a relationship that has endured, with New Delhi calling it a special and privileged strategic partnership. It is just the Russian leader's 2nd trip abroad since the coronavirus pandemic began. He skipped both the G20 and COP26 summit this year after a June summit with US President Joe Biden in Geneva. A mobile library bus trucked to a Kabul orphanage on Sunday and opened its doors for the first time since the Taliban's return to the power in Afghanistan, eliciting for the beaming smiles from the children. The mobile library is one of the 5 buses released by the local organizations called the Charmak, established by the Fresta Karim, an Afghan graduate from the Oxford University. Hundreds of children have in recent years made the use of the mobile libraries daily as they crisscross Kabul, as many schools lack their own library. The Taliban's education system and the ministry granted permission for the mobile libraries to the restart several weeks ago. But it was only a few days ago that the agreement was reached with the Transport Ministry, which owns the buses. Barakati explained, currently the schools are also closed, she noted. Girls' education has been hit particularly hard by the Taliban's return power, as millions of girls across the country have been barred from the secondary education in the state schools. Now, sports news. The third day of the second test between Bangladesh and Pakistan in Mirpur was cancelled at around 2 p.m. today due to continuous rain triggered by the weakened cyclone Zawal. The game is scheduled to start again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. in an attempt to put pressure on a maximum of 98 overs a day. Pakistan lead the two-match test series 1-0 courtesy of an 8-wicket win in their first test in Chattogram. India beat New Zealand by a huge margin of 372 runs in test. With the victory, the hosts have owned the two-match test series. India took just 75 balls on a fourth day of the test match today. Meantime, New Zealand took 5 wickets. At the beginning, Jayant Yadav and Ravichandra Ashwin took all the wickets of the Kiwis and they led the team to victory. Meanwhile, the New Zealand faced a bitter record. This is the worst defeat in the New Zealand Test history of the teams of runs scored outside the innings. On the other hand, it is the biggest victory in the history of India. Another sports story from Kabul. Palwani is a traditional form of wrestling in Afghanistan. The matches are simple affairs. It is their culture also. There is no arena other than the board circle from the spectators. The competitors barefoot in all dust and all use the same tunics. One blue, one white was from the athlete on the next match. Before ending, we go through Bangla City SATV News headlines again. India and Bangladesh commemorate Maitri Divas today. Two countries should focus on contact trade and connectivity, said Prime Minister. Myanmar's Janta jailed ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi today for 4 years for incitement against the military and breaching COVID rules. Rain triggered by a weakened cyclone washed out the third day of second test match between Bangladesh and Pakistan in Dhaka today. You are up to date with the Bangla City SATV News, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.